So we have 5 plus x over 6x. And what I want to do is, if we're going to do this numerically, that means we're going to look if there is a trend in values as x gets closer and closer to 0. Is there a trend in the output of 5 plus x over 6x? We can just do a table or a computer. We can use our computer to make a table. So first, if we're going to do a limit like this, we need to actually split it up into two different sides. We need the limit from the right, and we need the limit from the left. Now, when we look at the limit from the right and the limit from the left, our goal is to see. For the limit from the right, we want a sequence of x values that gets closer and closer to 0, but stays above 0. I could do 0.1, I could do 0.01, I could do 0.001, I could do 0.001, and I could just keep doing this, and I could see what happens as I keep looking at these values. So I'm going to use Desmos for this because I like using Desmos, but if you have a different computational tool that you like, that's totally fine. Here, as we see that we have x getting closer and closer to 0, or we might say x approaching 0 from the right, what's happening with this column? What's happening with these y values? It's getting larger and larger and larger. Yeah, so we're going to say, well, that's approaching positive infinity because they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. The y values get larger and larger and larger. The limit as x approaches 0 from the right of 5 plus x over 6x is positive infinity. Now, what happens from the other side? I'm going to look at x and 5 plus x over 6x, but I'm only going to look at values that are smaller than x approaching 0. And I want the values to get closer and closer to 0. Here, I would use basically the negative counterpart of what I had before. And I like this in Desmos because I can go back and just make everything be negative. So now I make my x values be negative, and well, you might expect this to happen maybe. I'm getting the same magnitude of the y value, but they're just negative now. So if I look at the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of 5 plus x over 6x, that's equal to negative infinity. In terms of a graph, if we have a nice computer who's willing to make a graph for us, we can see that sort of characteristic behavior, that vertical asymptote at at x equals 0. We have that vertical asymptote at x equals 0. And that's what we were expecting to see based on the calculations we did. And also, then I confirmed it with the graph.